Hi guys, my name is Bas and welcome to episode 6 of my art tutorial videos here on YouTube. Today we're gonna have a look at how to rename, recode and mutate variables and values. I do recommend watching the previous episodes because they explain a lot on the basics of R, and every episode will become a bit more difficult, but you are not obligated to watch them because I'll explain the most important things in this video as well. So first of all, if this video is helpful to you in any way, shape or form, then please leave a like on this video, and furthermore, please subscribe to this channel. I will be uploading far more videos on RStudio, and it would be really helpful if you could help me out by pressing that subscribe button. That would be very much appreciated. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do before we can actually start off is install two packages. If you want to know how to install packages, you can check out episode number 1 of my art tutorials, but for now we're just gonna use library and then tidy verse, and furthermore the haven package. So library and then between brackets haven, and then run those two codes. And then we can actually get started. Okay, so today we're going to work with a dataset I made myself, and it's called Dutch. And let's start off by just opening it. And over here you can see that it's a dataset with 28 respondents, and it has at the moment 5 variables, being werkuren, it's a Dutch name, therefore as also the dataset is called Dutch, and 3 motivational variables and 1 gender variable. And the first thing we want to do is rename a variable, and it's going to be werkuren because it means working hours, so we want to change that to working hours. So we're going to work with the dataset Dutch. Dutch. Yes. And then we use the pipe operator, which is Ctrl-Shift-M. And then for this, in this dataset, we're going to do rename, and then working, and then between quotation marks, working hours is gonna be made up of between quotation marks again, werkuren. So in this way, you rename a variable, and then the first argument is your new variable, and your second argument is your old variable. And then you can select, and to round it off, we will end with another pipe operator and then view, to make it a bit more easier to interpret. And if you then press Ctrl Enter, we can now see that werkuren has now been replaced by working hours. And this is important. So this is how you can rename a variable. It's really easy. Now what we're going to do is do this again, but we're going to make a new data set in which you can practice, because this data set is now fixed, but we want a data set in which we can practice a little bit more. So we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to start off by making a new data set, which is called English. And the data set will contain the exact same things as we just did. So we're going to start off by making a new data set. It's called English. And it consists of the dataset Dutch. And the first thing we want to do is rename werkuren into working hours. And if you then press Ctrl Enter, then you get the same dataset as we just did. And it's now called the English dataset. Okay, so next up we're going to mutate variables. So first we learned how to rename them, and now we're going to mutate them. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to start off by selecting the English dataset. Then we're going to do the pipe operator, and then we're going to do mutate, and then what we want to do is, if we took a look at, we'll take another look at working hours. You see that it's between 65, 43, 52, 12, 43, 45, etc. And what we want to do is change this variable into a full-time variable. So how much full-time does this person work? For now, I'll use that full-time is 40 hours. So if you work 43 hours, for example, respondent number 5 works 43 hours, how many full times is that? And full time is 40 hours. So we're going to create a new variable, which is going to be called full time. And it's going to consist of working hours divided by 40. So it's actually really easy. We're going to mutate. So that's why so that's the second function we're using today. We're going to mutate. And we're going to create a new variable, which is going to be full time. and it consists of the working hours divided by 40. And if we then do the pipe operator again, and then view, then if we press Ctrl Enter, then we get the English data set again, and next to working hours, this time we also get full time. We can see that someone who works 65 working hours works 1.625 full time. So that's how you can mutate variables. So we first discussed how you can rename them. Now I've shown you guys how you can actually mutate them. And now, last but not least, we're also gonna recode them. Because if we, we're gonna take another look. If we take a look, we can see if we look at the motivational variables, we can see that everybody scores really high on the first one, really high on the second one, and really low on the third one. And that's quite odd. And the most important reason which can be explained is that this is a reversed question. So that in this survey, someone actually reversed this question, so asked it the other way around. And what you now want to do is recode this motivational character, but then not with 1s and 2s, but into 5s and 4s. Well, how do we do that? It's actually not that difficult as well. We're going to use the English dataset once again. Press the pipe operator, and then mutate, and then between brackets, the new variable is going to be called motivation free recoded, and it's going to consist of recode, and then the old motivation free, and then a comma, and then an enter, and then between a single quote mark, you write a 1 will become a 5, and then a comma, and then enter, and then between single quote marks again, a 2 will become a 4, and then a comma again. I forgot the comma. No. A comma again. And then a 3 will stay a 3, but it's important that you write that down again, and then a comma, and then between a single quote mark, a 4 will become a 2, and last but not least, a 5 will become a 1. And then the brackets close, and then to round it all off, we're gonna do view once again. So Ctrl Shift M, and then view, and then Ctrl Enter. And now we can see that a new variable has been made, and it's called motivation free recoded, and now it's really high values just like the first two. So a 1 has become a 5, a 2 has become a 4, and that's the only values which were in there because I just made up this data set, so it's really small. But this is how you can actually recode values in R. This might, like I said, I used my own data set. I just made it up in R. You might run into problems if you import, if for example, if we import, so file, and then import dataset, and then from SPSS, and then browse, and then we select a dataset. It's called the Mutating dataset, which I wanted to use today, but sadly I get errors all the time. Here you can see the same one, except for example it's external motivation 1. And let's say that we want to recode this one the other way around. So 2 becomes a 4, a 1 becomes a 5, a 2 becomes a 2, etc. So it's called ext1 from the Mutating dataset. Then sadly you will get an error. I will show you guys. Mutating dataset, pipe operator, and then mutate, external 1 recoded is recode, and then between brackets external 1, and then a comma, and then a 1 will become a 5, a 2, make sure to use single quotation marks, is a 4, and use a comma every single time, a comma, a 3 will become a 3, a 4 will become a 2, and a 5 will become a 1. And then we want to view this once again. So we do exactly the same here as we just did with my own dataset, but this time it's an actual SPSS dataset. And if you then press the pipe operator and go to view and then do Control Enter, then you get an error. And I'm not sure how you can resolve this actually. So that's why if you need to change your values from an SPSS dataset, so from this dataset for example, then change it in SPSS. If you want to know how you can change the values in SPSS, I've made a video on that. It's called SPSS Tutorial 6. I'll post the link to that in the description of this video. So if you need to change the numeric values of a reversed question, of a questionnaire from SPSS, then you actually should do that in SPSS and then reload this dataset into R. Okay. That was a quick explanation on why it doesn't work with SPSS datasets, because I don't know how to resolve those errors. Okay, so last but not least, I want to show you guys how you can actually change categorical values into numeric values. If we take another look, so view it at our English dataset, and then press Ctrl Enter, then we can see that the gender is male or female. But you can change that into you can actually change that into 1s or 2s. Well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, we of course select the English dataset, press the pipe operator, Ctrl Shift M, and then we press mutate, and then gender numeric, we're gonna call it, is recode, and then gender, the gender variable, comma, and then between full quotation marks, so not single quotation marks, but full quotation marks, male is going to be 1, comma, and female is going to be a 2. And then last but not least, we press the pipe operator, and then view, and then if we press Ctrl Enter, we can now see that we have changed the gender into a numeric variable. So I've shown you guys how to rename variables. We changed werkuren into working hours. I've shown you guys how to mutate variables because we changed working hours into full-time hours. And last but not least, I've shown you guys how to recode values, how to recode numeric values into new numeric values, like we did with motivation 3. And I've shown you guys how to change categorical values into numeric values. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask them in the comment section down below. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video if it was helpful to you. And for now guys, I see you on the next tutorial. Ciao.